my name is Marcin. I'm a founder of Empeiria. I spent the last 2 years building the digital identity solution and application with the wallet and the platform. I spent before 13 years in digital transformation, also dealing in some cases of identity. And today I want to show you how the self-sovereign identity can change the processes and the businesses around the world. I give you a lot of use cases, but they will be just peak of the iceberg because the identity subject is so deep that when you go into the rabbit hole, it does not have the bottom. So first I will explain some technology and a brief introduction. Then we move to how the future can look like, what are the practical use cases, and then what is the impact, right? Because like with every technological revolution, there are winners and losers. And I already put the thesis that you will be the winners and the small companies will be the winners and the big tech will be the losers. And I'm going to prove you that. So now the first question is, how many forms do you fill out every year? How many forms do you need to fill out to submit your job application, to get the mortgage, to get the credit card? It's very time consuming. In case of commerce, it's just address. But in case of any services that you want to show the trust that you are eligible to, it takes really a lot of time. And then how many different applications, right, store your data and monetize it and what they do with your data? So I can answer that question to you. So on average, each individual has their data in more than 1,000 different services, digital services. Of course, most of them is commerce, right? But over the last few years, each of you left the data in more of the 1,000 silos. Because how the data looks like today, our data is in the different applications, which are the different silos. It's in order to update that data, you need to go to each application separately, and you need to update it, you need to keep it up to date. So if you have a profile in 10 recruitment agencies, let's say, each agency you log in and you got some new project, you need to add manually. It's a massive effort. And that data is unstructured, unverified, unsafe, outdated and fragmented. It's very low quality data, and in the age of AI, the data needs to be high quality that the algorithms can return the high quality results. So the self-sovereign identity, it changes it with the data ownership and the so-called reusability of the data. That's the very easy explanation to that complex concept, but it looks from the way that you own your data on your wallet and you can share it seamlessly across the ecosystem of the services. And I will show you what are the advantages of that and how does it work more technically. But first, the major features that you understand, because there's now hype on digital identity. So last year we went out of the stealth mode at Gitex and I had 3 meetings. Until today, okay, we released the product. I had more than 50 meetings in the last 3 days, which shows how it is changing, right? That everybody starts to understand how important it is. But there's a lot of, I think, fake things in realize to the digital identity and the self-sovereign identity. So those are the features of the self-sovereign identity, which is decentralized. So first is decentralized identifiers, and I will explain what is this later. The verifiable credentials is the data that with the attestation and confirmation that you gather in the wallet. It needs to be private and secure, so it's encrypted with the cryptographic algorithms, which are the same that I use for our cryptocurrencies usually. It needs to be, and that's the interesting feature that is different for most of the digital identities in the market, because you can have decentralized identifier, which is decentralized because it's yours, but it's not a decentralized wallet. It's a custodial wallet, and that's the most of the government solutions are like this. Interoperability and portability, that's a very big subject, because it's like, right now what you can see, there are a lot of, I showed that silo application thing, and you can see that there's a lot of silo wallets that they are like, I give you the example. Let's say we have an airline, and the airline creates the wallet where you can hold the tickets as verifiable credentials, and you can hold as well your points, loyalty points. But you cannot use it only with that airline. Why do you need this wallet? it's nonsense. It's complete nonsense. But I've seen many wallets that work like this, and they are being sold on the market because it's just a fancy thing. But there are centralized wallets with no private keys, and they are not interoperable. The whole thing about self-sovereign identity is the portability of the credentials, that you can use them across different applications, right? And no central authority. We know it from blockchain. And it should be user-centric, so all the data and the private keys should be with the user. So how does it work? This is like the most famous thing in self-sovereign identity. It's called the self-sovereign identity trust triangle, because it's all about the trust. So we have an issuer that is issuing a verifiable credentials. So it's basically attesting the data that you have, that the data is true. We have the user, so the wallet holder, that has their own DID. The issuer has the DID. Usually, in the wallet that we have, the issuer has the DID on-chain, the public DID. The user DID is only in the wallet. It's completely decentralized and only on the blockchain if it's blacklisted. And there is a verifier. There's a little bit of confusion here with the verifier, because verifier basically verifies the claims from the user. It's not attesting the data. That's the data attestation, and the transaction happens on blockchain with the respect to the checking the issuer DID. The issuer has the right to attest that information, that the information is not fake, and there are private and public keys involved, like in the case of the crypto wallet. So it's a similar technology but the bigger revolution. So I just want to come to one point, that the internet has no identity layer. So we have the IP addresses, the HTTPS or HTTP protocols that govern the internet, but there's no identity layer. So the centralized identifiers, they are kind of the identity layer. It's I'm simplifying a lot of things otherwise would sit here for 1 week, but it's basically the address, that's the example, and there are different DID methods. There are more than 150 methods documented by Decentralized Identity Foundation, which we are part of, but the one I'm proponent on is related to the blockchain, because this is the one that is immutable and decentralized. And based on this address, it's a little bit the public one, like an internet address. So I want to give you one difference between the verifiable credentials and the NFTs. NFTs is very beautiful technology, and it's perfect for tokenization of assets, or what you own. That's a breakthrough technology that will change the world. But for identity, it's more of who you are. And that's a little bit and the VCs are not transferable. That's one of the most important things, but they're private. So instead of ownership verification, like in case of NFT, we have verification of the data. And as I said, the VCs cannot be traded, right? So it's nothing to do with the tokenization of the assets, it's tokenization of the information. They are very cost efficient if you have off-chain cryptography for the verifiable credentials and on-chain for the DID. So minting, it's not really minting, it's issuing, but the credentials cost nothing basically. It's highly scalable technology. And you can have full privacy, including the zero knowledge proofs. And in the case of NFT, if you know the wallet address, you can see all the NFTs on the wallet. Of course, if the wallet is we know who is the owner of the wallet is doxed, then you can see like who owns what. There's a little bit of the rise after the Vitalik Buterin published some unfortunate article, hype about some soulbound tokens. It's my personal opinion, you may not agree, but for me they're like face tattoos. So they may be beautiful, but everybody sees them and they stay forever. So you need to think if you want to have a soulbound token in your wallet. So the difference between Web 2 and Web 3 is basically in Web 2 you have a login and a password, or the big tech login like Google signing, LinkedIn signing, whatever, where they monetize the data. It's worthwhile to mention that Google has been fined $2.5 billion for privacy breaches and data monetization illegally from the logins, just logins. in Europe and more than $500 million in US, but it's just for then the marketing expense at this point of time. And in Web3, you just log in with the wallet using the QR code, and you can log in with the zero knowledge proof. Now let's go to the use cases. Now is where it becomes more interesting. So the one that everybody knows is KYC, KYB, and proof of age, which is obvious. That you want to access some services, we need to know who you are, maybe some services above a certain age. And you can do, with the wallet, you can do once KYC, and then you can share it across, also with zero knowledge proof. So you can prove that there's identity behind the wallet, and this is game changing, without the revealing it. But let's come to the more fancy cases. I like really a lot the anti-money laundering case, because if you ever subscribe to any exchange or anything that it's like requires you to trade the money, you need to have you need to go through AML process, and you need to submit a lot of documents which contain a lot of sensitive information, like your salary, your income, your assets, that maybe they leak out and they put you at the massive risk. With the identity wallet is zero knowledge proof. You can prove that you have a level of the low risk AML, because AML is the level of risk that you have according to the money laundering standards, which are not really that standardized. And you can prove that your money is legal that you have, but you don't need to show it. And that's very beautiful. There's a credit score use case, very interesting one. Proof of solvency, I think that's another one which is a complete breakthrough, because in the business-to-business dealings, a lot of things are not paid because they are delayed payment terms. And here you can know if somebody is solvent. It can also be used in the cases of crypto exchanges, like we had with the FTX. If they had proof of the solvency or proof of reserve, maybe the world will look different right now in the crypto world. Salary data is very interesting, and the assets tokenization rights. So the real assets tokenization, which is based on NFTs, I think it's groundbreaking technology and will change the world operates in the asset space and asset trading. But you need to distinguish the fake assets for real assets, and if you do any more automated processes for asset tokenization, you need to have an identity to prove that you have the right to tokenize a particular asset. And maybe you will have a liability if something is really wrong with the asset you tokenize. On the professional side, and this is what we do in our wallet, it's, sorry the mic, it's basically, you can document your skills, and I talk on Sunday about the skill-based organization and how it is the future in the digital world, and the AI. AI is all based on the skills in EdTech and HR tech. There's a work history. We got amazing feedback on this event from our HR partners, because they are combating a lot of fraud in hiring process. It costs a lot of money if you hire somebody to check if that person has the experience. There are a lot of people saying they're coming from Binance. Actually, that was what was told to me by one of the main recruiters for Web3. Everybody wants to work for Binance, it looks like, but they are false claims. And you can add yourself on LinkedIn, for example, and some companies like, let's look now at my previous company, SAP. It has 100,000 employees. Nobody governs it on LinkedIn. Somebody can add themselves, and not mentioning the inflation of title. On LinkedIn, everybody is vice president, manager, senior director. Everybody is amazing, right? Like in the social media platforms, I mean, the general thing is that you almost never meet the person that is a better person in real life than on social media. And the self-sovereign identity is more focused on the merit. So what we really achieve, what we know. Work performance data, so that's very interesting, because like right now, if you have, let's say you're a salesperson, and if you recruit the salesperson, everybody tells you, I overachieved my quota by 3 times. I'm the best sales guy. And what turns out that there's a lot of salespeople that spend in the company 1.5 years, and they change to another one because they never achieve their targets. Because this information is locked into the company data. But if you are able to hold it and prove it, and you don't need to, the quota targets are confidential. and they're owned by the company to understand it. But you can just get the certificate if you achieved it or not. The reputation, it's something very interesting. And I talk about the skill-based reputation on Sunday, which you could build in. Actually, I have more insight on the most insight on the professional front, because this is what we actually do. But I have a good understanding of all the items that can be done. Employer badges and access rights, so that you can have, for example, the certificates for attestation of some products or attestation of some services, commissioning of the services, and that identity can give the rights to sign it with the permission. But let's move to the education. I think education is also a very big case, with the diplomas, the least fancy one, student ID as well. But I think the professional education with micro-credentials is super interesting, because it's like, we attend a lot of conferences, we do a lot of training to learn, and according to the research that I've seen, the people that do the professional education, that they expect that they will learn something, they will get a better job, and they will develop. And they learn something, actually, that's the expectation versus what is happening, but they don't get the better job because of those professional learning. So they invest their hard-earned money into professional education. 66% of individuals, they pay for their professional education from their pocket. And it does not help them to get the job, what they do it, right? So if we had micro-credentials to build that reputation and the knowledge, maybe that could change, because right now what you learn in those silo applications and EdTech platform, you cannot show it, because you will not send to the application tracking system 15 PDFs with some course confirmation. Informal education is also a very big case, is related to that one that I mentioned before, because how you prove that you learned something in this conference. I will show you how we can do it. And then the professional certifications, as I mentioned, and proof of attendance, that you've been somewhere, it's also a very good use case. In the commerce, I think that each case is big, right? I'm saying that. And breakthrough. In the commerce, there are loyalty tiers, definitely, spend history, purchase history, and how it should work. So if you are spending something and you can buy it from the brand in the online store, in some other retailer, if you really would like to build the spend history and get some access with the verifiable credentials to exclusive offer, to be respected as the premium customer, without exactly proving what you have bought for how much, this is a great use case. Also, service history, purchase rights, right? So giving the rights to purchase something. You can do it with NFT, by the way, some of these things, like purchase rights can be done on NFT, because it's the right to do something is also an asset, right? It's not only identity. But the difference is that NFT one is transferable, the verifiable credential is private and non-transferable. So that's depending on the use case, you can use the right technology. The healthcare, actually a lot of people say the healthcare is big. This is the first one I tell you that is very interesting, and there's a huge problem with data standardization in healthcare because of the different systems, different machines. It might be huge. I don't think anybody will do it in the next 10 years. It's just so complex. I've seen the project in Web 2 with data lakes at the national level that failed. So, but prescriptions, treatment history, allergies, remember all data is private, right? And the problem with this system in the healthcare, the way I see it, it's unpopular opinion, is that if you have an accident, the data you need to give the consent to share it from your wallet. So if you have an accident and you are unconscious in the hospital, probably is the last thing that you will take your wallet and you will connect to the systems in the hospital to give the consent and transfer the data. This is why I'm a little bit, you will see a lot of hype on this, I think, but the use case is limited in the emergency situations. Now something completely crypto, decentralized autonomous organization, voting rights. Voting rights is really beautiful because you can vote and it can be truly anonymous voting. Because if you vote today with the wallet, it can be doxed. The wallet can be doxed and how you vote could be doxed. With the self-sovereign identity zero knowledge proofs, the voting rights cannot be doxed. Community engagement, you can track with proof of attendance, the airdrops, Like, you know, those airdrops where 50 people set up 50 different wallets or 100 different wallets to connect the airdrop, but the airdrop is about to give the community the reward, to mobilize it, to get it community engagement, right? It's the incentive, right? You don't want to give one person 100 airdrops, right? It does not scale your project. The events, ticketing, proof of attendance, ticketing, non-transferable tickets, right? Transferable tickets that you can sell, NFT is better case for, and that needs to be public. So let's do the small exercise. So how do you prove your informal education learnings? This is one of the use cases that I did. So we released the world's first verifiable credentials proof of attendance protocol. And I would like you that you try to collect one today with your wallet. So the only thing you need to do, you need to take the picture of the marker. So please, everybody takes the phone out. You have the phones, take the picture of the marker. You will see how it works. We'll get the flyer, download the Empeiria wallet. It's both in the App Store and the iOS, Apple Store and Android Store, and you can get it then submit it. If you have difficulties, go to my stand. So how the process works, you collect the data, you can refine it, you verify it, you can share it. And now let's go to the sharing, right? So each wallet should enable two types of sharing. So selective data sharing and zero knowledge proof sharing. So selective data is if you want to pass all the information that you decided to pass. Zero knowledge proof is the technology that I will explain on the example because it's the easiest one. How do you prove that you're 18 years old to access some services? So you need to show your ID. And if you look at the ID, you have full name, you have date of birth, you have all the ID document, you even know that that person is a donor of the blood, just to prove your age. It's insane how much information you need to prove, you need to submit to prove your age. And maybe you need to send it by email. And you don't know how somebody stores your ID. And the email is not encrypted, as we all know, right? Whatever you send by email, everybody can see with the proper technology. With zero knowledge proof, the algorithm, the cryptographic algorithm, is proving the property that is requested from the data without revealing the data. And this is a completely breakthrough technology, and it's only available based on verifiable credentials in this decentralized system because, with your own private keys. This will change the world, I'm telling you, and I give few more examples about it. So how we combat disinformation? So CryptoBird mentioned what happened yesterday yesterday it was, right? Yeah, so yesterday you had the news about the Bitcoin ETF and the Bitcoin spike, and there were fake news. So with verifiable credentials, if you have the identity, you can attest the information with your identity, and you can track the information to the person that submitted it. You can do it with the zero knowledge proof, then you cannot track it to the person, but we have a proof that it comes from the legitimate source, if of course those verifiable credentials are part of some trust network, right? Because everybody can issue on the public infrastructure the verifiable credential. It's all about the trust network, but I will skip the trust networks for today. You need to have a permission to issue something that is variable, to confirm something, right? I cannot confirm your Emirates ID. It needs to be UAE government confirming it. That's basically the concept. How we ensure that that's a retail use case from commerce that I really like. So if you buy a business class ticket at Emirates, most of you probably do that or don't, I don't know, I don't do. If you buy you get the premium journey, right? You get the lounge, you get the better check-in, you get a different call center that responds within 1 minute, but you need to buy that ticket. If you are a Skywards Gold member, you get the same journey. But if you're a new customer and you need to buy that ticket, you get the same journey like everybody else because they don't know if you can buy business class or not. So if you could prove your previous purchases with zero knowledge proof, not disclosing the data, from the different airlines, different retailers, you could get the premium journey. Let's look at the telecom use cases. In some countries, there are a lot of telecom operators. And if you change the operator, you can get a massive discount. It's for you, it's your value. But you need to prove somewhere to the previous one, how much were you spending? And depending on the regulation with the data privacy, they cannot ask you to submit the bills from the previous operator. But with zero knowledge proof, you could do that because you don't need to disclose the operator that you use. You can disclose the tier that you were in. Let's say that you spend more than $100 a month for the mobile phone charges, and then you are eligible, to some discounts. So I think commerce will be a big use case, but the problem is that you need the standardization of the data. It will take more time, I think, and maybe not everybody will be that interested. And how do we buy Sony PlayStation 6? I know it's Sony PlayStation 5. It took me 1 year to buy it. I bought it because we do some gamification in our platform. I wanted to see how the world move forward. Don't have time to play, but amazing customer journeys in Sony PlayStation. Or the Champions League tickets, right? So the tickets to the premier events. So there are a lot of scalpers. They create a lot of emails addresses. They create different shipment addresses to collect the things, sometimes the same. You need to understand that in the retail world, if you use your credit card, the payment provider is not disclosing the payment card details to the retailer. So we cannot say that one credit card you buy only one item, because that would be the easiest solution. So if there's this kind of a proof of being who you are and verifiable credential and the access rights, you could do the system where every owner of Sony PlayStation 5 can upgrade to 6 and buy only one console, for example. Or the football fan can buy the Champions League tickets that they cannot sell. For the tickets that are transferable, the NFT is better use case. The voting I already said. I went into more of the zero knowledge proof and sharing that voting, so I may skip it for now, but I think it's one of the most fair use cases for democracy and anonymity. To combat fraud and asset tokenization, as mentioned, we need to have a system to prove the assets that those NFTs are legitimate, that they were minted by the legitimate person. There are so many fake collections. There are so many fake collections of art of NFTs. There's so much scam. And I think what the self-sovereign identity is changing is preserving the privacy so nobody can intercept your data. If you do it zero knowledge proof, if you do selective, you hand over the data, right? Because if you need to have a commerce shipment, right? You need to show your address because they will not know where to ship it. So it depends on the use case, as I said. But this fragile data, like document numbers, exact date of birth, some rights with some information related to your salaries, they are really important to have it preserved and private. So I encourage you to join the revolution today. I can say try our wallet, which is by design multi-chain wallet and will be interoperable across many standards, and start owning your data today. It's the same revolution like started in Bitcoin 2009. It's exactly the same revolution. And it will be built more and more and more. And we need to understand the decentralization behind it. Because there will be a lot of centralized wallets that work the same like Web 2, but they have decentralized identifiers. So that will be the trend, and I see that trend already happening. And this 80% of wallets on the market are centralized wallets with decentralized identifiers. So there are some beautiful technologies built by Polygon ID, by EOS, and it's developing. It's still developing, right? There are roadmaps that are being now realized, and it is more and more happening. As I mentioned, last year I had 3 meetings. Now I had more than 50 in 3 days. And it shows that there's an interest. There are people coming from the DeFi space. There are people coming from the smart meter space for the settlements for the smart meters. There are a lot of use cases. If you connect to the identity, the crypto payments, it's getting really big because you do the settlement with the person that holds the identity, and you know who are you paying or for what are you paying, even if you don't know who are you paying, which is a very, very important thing, that there's basically less fraud. It's one of the most private and fraud-preserving systems we can have if you hold your private keys. So like in crypto, not your keys, not your crypto, not your keys, not your data. And this is what I would like that you remember from today. Always hold your keys and join the revolution. Thank you very much. And I think we have a few minutes more, so I'm open to a few questions that you may have, if there are any.